Hi, this is Katie Burns with Live Well, and you are watching Season 2 on Channel 18. I am joined today by special guest Ruth Burton.
Hello.
Hi, thank you guys for tuning in. We certainly appreciate you watching and staying up with our show. I've heard a lot of great feedback on Season 1, and so we hope to bring you another great season. Today, we are doing a book review. And I've asked our local author of The Benefit of Grace to join me today.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. We're having our tea because I feel like a book review and some nice hot tea will go well. Of course, my producer is behind the scenes drinking coffee, and so I hope that you guys at home will take a moment to sit down with a cup of tea or cup of coffee, get a pen and paper in case you want to write down some of these books, because what I've brought for you today are my current favorites. I have some past favorites. I'm an avid reader, and so I've just done a little selection and also have some children's books. And when I asked Ruth yesterday to join me on the show, she happened to bring her favorite children's books too, so it's going to be really good.
I could talk about books all day,
yeah,
and bring a lot, and I brought some physical books I have, but of course I have a ton of books on my Kindle, and that has got to be the greatest invention of this century.
You're a Kindle user.
To a reader. Well, I am. I resisted for a long time, and then we were traveling, going to be away for over a week, and my poor husband has carried books all over in a suitcase. Yeah. So I'd have enough books, and then I thought, well, I'm going to take the plunge. If I don't like it, then when I get back, because I do like to hold a book.
I love to have it in my hands and to dog ear and color.
But once I got started on the Kindle, you have that. Yeah, you can put it in your purse, and everywhere you go you have 100 books at your disposal. Yeah. So
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I do. And that's why I have my phone right here. Guys, I'm not texting while I'm on TV, but I have the Audible app.
Yes.
You guys at home, Audible. It's an app that you can download on your phone. Now, I have to pay a monthly fee for it, but then I get a certain amount of credits. So I get free books with the fee. And because I drive so much, and because I have a small child, that to find time to sit down and read sometimes is very difficult for me. But I find that I do drive a lot, so they can just play this. And that's how I get a lot of books.
If you're on the road at all, that's really handy to have.
Oh my goodness, I just love it. So that's why I may pull some, I'll be talking about some books off of my phone, so that's why I have it with me today. But let's jump in and talk about our children, getting them to read. When I was thinking about this episode, I thought I really wanted to tell people at home, first of all, that, well, you know, I have a master's degree. As a child, I did not read. I did not want to read. Me. I hated the idea of reading. It was very painful for me. My mother would buy me horse books because I loved horses, and that was a nice step, but it was still just really difficult for me to get through a book and to retain the information. And so I guess really it wasn't until I was in a master's program that things just started to click for me with reading. Maybe it was the topic, maybe it was the way the books were presented. I don't know, but now I just read, I retain. And
but that's interesting because you can discover books at any age.
Yeah. And I don't want you guys to think, oh, my child doesn't read, this is terrible. They'll never love it. It's just to, you know, kind of keep trying to find what they're interested in and what clicks with them. You want to make it a positive experience. That's why I wanted to start there, because with trying to find books, you know, that my daughter will be interested in, a common theme is farm animals. Can't imagine why. So we have a lot of Cock-a-doodle-doo. One of her favorite books is Cock-a-moo-moo, and she'll just sit and listen to that book, and it's a pretty long book. It's not a board book like when we have here, and she'll listen to it. I'm going,
Really? Does it have sounds?
Yes.
You know, so many books now for kids have sounds too,
Have the
which is
sounds.
nice.
I like the kind that have a pause in them where you might turn a page, and having that pause kind of will help solicit language. So, you know, I'm a big proponent of going to the library.
And we have a great library here
Yes.
in Pikeville. And that was one of the things I made an emphasis on with my kids when they were little. Books, we always had time to read a book.
Yes.
And they grew up to be readers. It just opens a whole new world to you. So I had asked my granddaughters now what were their favorite books. So Bree is in the 2nd grade here at Pikeville Elementary, and she's reading the Judy B. Jones books.
Really?
Do you remember those?
Vaguely. You remember, I didn't like books at that age.
True. But they're great for girls of that age, and I see her. It's just now hitting her that as she's learned to read more easily, that I can read my own book and have
go
a good
on
time.
an adventure.
Right.
Through the story.
And Pearl is 3, almost 4, and she came to me with her favorite book.
Okay.
We're going on a bear hunt.
Oh, cute.
Do you know that one?
We're going on a bear hunt.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
Let's see here.
It's going to do all the sounds.
Oh, it's got nice illustrations. That's another thing that I think is important.
They go to hunt a bear, and they encounter different obstacles, and they're going through over the hills and through the mud and through the fields, and until finally they find the bear and decide maybe they didn't want to find the bear, and they have to go all the way back through. So it's a really cute book. Helen would like that one.
Now, why do you think that the illustrator went from gray, black and white, to color? Is that to keep interest, or does it go along with the story?
Well, it's easy to maybe most of the gray is what you would read, but once a child gets accustomed to this book, they're going to beat you to saying
the colors.
Yeah.
Oh,
to saying what we
it
say.
does. It has something different.
Stumble trip.
I like that.
That's an easy one, and it's repetitive, so they can
repetitive
read it
language
to
in the
you.
books really clicks with them also.
Another classic, 5 Little Monkeys.
Oh!
Jumping on the bed. One fell off and hit his head. Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, "You better quit jumping on that bed." You can tell I've read that a time or two.
We all have some books memorized by now.
So anyway, there are all kinds of good books for kids, and you hit on something there. Find their interest. Yeah. If you can get a book about something a child's already interested in, they will gravitate toward that.
Yeah. I have to say, I hesitated in one area where there's some TV shows that Helen likes. Clifford Puppy Days, Sophia the First. Well, they have early reader books with the same characters. So when I presented this to her, you should have seen the delight on her face that, they're right here. I can touch them and do that.
I can visit them anytime I want.
Interest in the books. I'm like, yay. Yep. And that's why I guess Disney has created books, because they know this clicks.
Right. Well, I mean, you can find Lego books and all kinds, Thomas the Train books, anything that a very small child is interested in, you can find a book about.
Yeah, and I also want to say that, you want to make this a happy time. Definitely. Reading is a happy time. If they're squirming around on the couch, or if they don't seem to be looking right at the book, but they're somewhat near. Does that make? Am I explaining this?
You are.
They're still hearing the book. They're still hearing your words. They're still following the story. They don't have to sit like an adult and be like, I'm following along.
Right.
It's an experience, and they'll eventually, I think, get there.
Right.
As long as you keep it happy and a positive time. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
No, I'm going to bump up with the children.
Now, what does Helen
age.
like besides farm animals? Mostly farm animals.
Horses.
Okay. But
Yeah.
you have some nieces and nephews that,
yes.
that are a little older than
So
Helen.
what I got for them, you know, when you're thinking about birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, usually I like to do a book for one of those. I just think that's a little different, and I found this one, I Can Learn to Pray. There's not rules when you want to pray to God.
Obviously, our #1 book will be the Bible.
Thank you for saying that. We talked.
Right. We discussed
Authored
that.
by God.
We kind of take that for granted, but
Yes.
but obviously the #1 book is
Yes.
the Bible, and there are a ton of devotion type books and prayer type books, and some really good things that are aimed at younger children.
Yes, you're going to want to have them side by side when you do a devotional. So if you have the time and space for it, it's always nice at the beginning when they have a scripture to then go to the Bible and maybe even read what's around it so that you can get it in context and you kind of teach the behavior of let's go back and forth.
Right.
But this book, you know, it's very simple, and it gives you, you know, little situations like what to do when things are bad, maybe what to pray, or you show grace from God. If you want to make a confession or you want to say I'm sorry, you know what to do there. And
So that would be like older elementary book.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that they have to read this by themselves. I think that you can read it to
With
them
That'd
or
be
with
good.
them, and then as they get older, they can go back to it. Along with that, everybody knows Jesus Calling.
Oh, I love that.
Well, they have one
Jesus
for kids,
Calling.
and I like to read it. You know,
I never looked at that before, but
well, I like the titles, like one, Let Your Problems Lift You Up, very simple. We're Celebrating When You Are Afraid, gives you a verse, and then it says, has a nice little script in very simple terms. Great to read with your children, great for your children to read. Now, bumping up a step on this is a children's book, but it's for parents.
okay.
How to talk so your kids will listen. And how to listen so kids will talk. You guys know I'm a licensed mental health therapist. Can't imagine why I would have a book like this. But so many people that I have counseled over the years are very casual with their language to children. I'm sure you could think of right now some common phrases parents might say to their kids. What were you thinking? We're thinking that.
I don't want to come out with too many of those like I say them all the time.
It happens.
I don't know any of those phrases.
No. It happens. I've caught myself doing it, you know, but years of being videotaped and scrutinized by professors made an impression on me. So sometimes I still think, what did I just say, and did that make sense? If I ask Helen, what were you thinking? Well, Mommy, I was thinking it'd be super fun to jump off the bed and hit my head. No, it's not. You know, it's not going to happen.
You do have a leg up there on the rest of us with your training.
No, anyone can get the training with this book. It's a bit of a workbook because it will ask you questions, it will walk through things, it will give you scenarios, and I think that long term, one of the big things that I want to create is a dialogue. I want to be able to foster and want them to feel comfortable using their words,
right?
Not condemning them right off, but come on, I want you to talk. I want to kind of see what your brain was thinking. It may not have been thinking. It happens. They're kids,
right?
So those are some kid books right there for you guys at home. Moving on to the adults.
Okay.
You go
My turn?
first, yes?
Well, this is a book. There are a lot of book clubs around. I'm in a book club. You used to be. I don't know, before kids and all came.
Well, just everybody kind of moved.
Okay. But this is what we read last month. And I hesitate to even say the title because we didn't really know how to pronounce the name. A Man Called, I Googled it, and the closest we could come was Uwe. But this is probably not a book I would have read on my own. The good thing about a book club is different people are choosing the books, and it has widened my reading list. Which I tend to get stuck on. I love Southern writers.
Oh, yes.
And I love murder mystery thrillers. And so
I can't take it. I get sweaty.
You can't? I love them. I love them. I said, if somebody ever saw what was on my Kindle, they'd think I was a multiple personality, I guess. Devotion books and then
murder mystery.
Right. So that's good. It does
so what's
get
it
you
about?
Some different genres.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really know anything about it before we started to read it, but it is a man in Switzerland that is he's an interesting guy, but he's an old curmudgeon. Doesn't like people, doesn't like to talk to people, and a multicultural family moved in next door and kind of browbeat him out of his pattern. That may not sound too interesting, but there's a lot in it, the way it's written. There are a lot of really good themes in it, and by the time I got to the end of it, I really did like it. I'll probably seek out something else by that
Well,
by
just
that
so
author.
people at home, it's A Man Called, and this is spelled O-V-E.
But that's a good thing about books. You don't really have to know how to pronounce it because you can say it in your head any way you want to. So I think some of us did that. But really, by the end of the book, he was the hero.
I always like that.
In a quiet way. He was a real hero by the way he responded. And it not only did it tell you about different cultures, which I love. I love books that are culture rich, so I can understand somebody else's point of view. And so it really came together nicely. And this is on bestseller list right now, very current bestseller.
And I haven't even heard about it, so I'm glad you brought it.
Well, yeah.
I'm going to add it to my list.
Put that on your list.
Yeah, it's sometimes for me it's hard when you're looking at books, and maybe you know a way around this. But with the fact that I listen to many of them, if they are filled with a lot of foul language, my ears start to hurt. And even if I'm playing it out loud and it's not on my speaker, and then Helen's hearing the going, how do I know beforehand when you
check
have
that out? Yeah. I mean, we have that for movies and things, but there isn't for books.
There's no ratings on books.
I think, to read reviews beforehand, or of course when you have your
words,
when you have your favorite authors. But a good thing out of this book, I think, it was the understanding that there's a lot going on under the surface of people,
that you don't know.
The way he was viewed wasn't all that he was.
I like that.
So it was very interesting.
That's wonderful.
And I just brought along a few others, kind of popular fiction. I'm like, I think a lot of people, once you find an author you like, if you can find a series, I like to read.
I will do that.
I like to read some series. So I'm consciously trying to break out of the mystery thriller thing, and that's kind of like my candy, but read some things that take me to another place, and like I said, different cultures.
So
that's the great thing about a book. You can, within 2 pages you're in a different world.
And that's neat.
I love that.
That's what I love about books.
Margaret Maron is a Southern writer. She has a series about Judge Deborah Knott in North Carolina that I enjoy. It gets you Southern big family.
Oh.
Culture, some mystery in there,
Yeah.
but a lot of different elements. She captures really well, I think, the change of the South, from the old South to the new South, and how that reflects on a community.
Yeah.
How you have those different elements. So her father was an old moonshiner.
This is called Hard Row.
Yeah, this one's Hard Row, but Margaret Maron.
Okay.
I just brought a book I really liked, and you can see it's very thick. But occasionally on Facebook, somebody will say, "Can you recommend a book?" And I saw the last time this was recommended by a few different people. So if you have some time to get in,
see, I can't buy that in hard copy. I'll never make it through.
Well, I don't know. The recording will probably take you 3 years.
Probably.
No, once you get engrossed in it, and it's by Stephen King, who is a horror writer, and I don't care for horror.
Yes.
But this is a complete departure for him. It's 11/22/63, and the significance is the day John F. Kennedy, our president, was assassinated. And this is
Which is why there's a newspaper on the front here.
Oh, right.
And there we
With
go.
him.
Yeah.
But it's a whole story surrounding that. It's not necessarily the assassination, but of a man's life, and he brushes through that whole situation. It's very good. A lot of people, once you take the plunge, do like that.
Okay.
Miss Julia Paints the Town, for something that's lighter, but I just love it. It's hilarious.
By
I think.
Ann Ross.
Ann B. Ross.
Okay.
She is a professor of English. I think she's from North Carolina too. But she started writing these Miss Julia books. Miss Julia is an aristocratic Southern lady in a small town who knows how things should be done, and it is her responsibility to make sure everybody else knows.
I don't know anyone like that.
I don't know anyone.
I don't know, but it should be an adventure to read.
I don't know anyone like that, and yet I feel like I know her very well. So,
well, this sounds good. So where does it take place? Just a small town?
A small town.
Okay, nondescript.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Not a real town, but just a small town. And so Miss Julia rules her kingdom very well, and just the truth of it. That's what makes good books. Yeah. Good fiction or whatever.
I like when it's relatable.
It's right.
Yeah.
When you read that's true. You know that's true, maybe even in a different way that you've ever thought about it.
Right.
Like, oh, but that strikes home.
Well, that's what so many people liked about your book, is we kept feeling it was real.
Oh, well.
And we kept wanting to go to the places so that we could experience. Where was this?
And yet you live here.
And yet we're here.
Yeah, you live here. But that's a
good book. We're going to have to continue on to a next episode. We're having such a good time today. So you guys tune in next week to see part 2 of this series. I'll get into some of my favorite adult books, and you'll continue. I think you have 1 or 2 left to talk about. But this has been really fun. I enjoy talking about books, and you guys go and try and find some of these books on Amazon or Audible, or even go to your local library.
Sure.
But I hope that this week you'll take time to live well.